How are we going, everybody? We're talking citrus at the moment because we're going to get into the warm season. The citrus trees are going to start to grow, but let's have a look at them now and see what they need so we can get them ready to flower beautifully and set some beautiful fruit for the following autumn-winter harvest. Now, this is an area that I've got some catnip growing, and we've hit it hard with the brush cutter because it's all died back, overwintered. We've also got some irises we cut back a little bit late on those, but let's have a look at the citrus trees. We're standing next to what we've got here is a mandarin Allendale. Have a look at these leaves. They're curling up a little bit. And what I want you to notice here is the discoloration, the cupping of the leaves as well. Not only on this one here, this mandarin as well. This is, if I'm not mistaken, I am going to be mistaken because I can't remember what I got here. This is a Mediterranean sweet orange. This is not a mandarin. Now look at this. This has been hit hard. We had some serious frost, hailstones as well, and we've got rust developing on this plant here. If you've got this problem on your tree, you can spray it with bluestone if you like, the disease control pack that we use, or simply cut it back. But what's more important is time to feed them as well. Get them ready for the spring because these need to push on some new growth. It's trying here. This one's really trying, but this one's struggling by comparison to all the other trees. So what I'm going to do around the base here is first, oh look, I can dig this up if I want to. Should we? We should. Maybe we won't, this one, because we've got so much grass growing around it. Well, catnip that is, not grass. So if you've got the space to be able to get a garden fork into it, loosen it up. So just break up the crust. You don't go too deep because the citrus tree roots are shallow. They're very fibrous, hair-like roots, and they do feed a lot from the surface. So we need a top dresser, and the way I'm going to do this is using our superfood. Now, those who've never seen superfood before, it's a soldier fly frass. It's the larvae. Have a look at it. This is the one that's actually got the black grit enhanced into it as well. Here's some black grit. Oh, can you see it? It's that black little sand-like particles in there, but mixed in with the superfood. And we've also got the actual larvae casings here. This is the exoskeletal shell. That there actually triggers the plant's defense mechanisms to protect itself against attack. Not so much about the cold like this, because where I am here, this area here cops are beating from the wind. I've got other trees down the other side which are much, much better because they're well protected, but here they're struggling while they're still young. This one in particular, that one's okay. The rest of them are not bad. So what we do is put a couple of handfuls around each one, and that's what I'm going to do here. Feed it like that, but also, because the soil's quite compacted here, loosen it up if you can, but get some compost on it. And just sprinkle a light layer around the base. Just break up the, oh look at that, cookie. This is a bit moist as well, but this will do wonders and it'll help the superfood break down through the barriers in the soil and feed all the microbes. And the compost on top will help as well. You can mix the compost in. The hardest thing with the citrus tree is actually digging into the ground if you need to. Now you shouldn't have to, and in my case, look at it, look at how hard it is here. This is some winter grass there that we've just cut back. We don't use any herbicides here, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I should say. But unfortunately, the fact is that it'll keep growing back. So we've got to maintain it by manual control, by pulling out the weeds and things like that by hand. Now, top dresser, if your trees are struggling or they need a feed, put the superfood at the bottom of it. And that's with the black grit. So the black grit will give it the calcium and the magnesium and strengthen it as well. The superfood will feed the microbes in the soil, and the compost will just work its way through, help to aerate a little bit, and obviously populate the microbes in the soil as well. This is what you've got to do with your citrus trees. Now, in Victoria, where I am here, it's still bloody cold. 14 degrees today, but it felt like it's about 10 degrees. There's not much you can do about that. You've got to wait for the warm weather to come along, but as the warm weather does come along, we need to protect the trees as well. For rust, we spray with our disease control pack. A nice simple approach, give it a good spray over the top, make sure there aren't any flowers developing on it. This isn't too bad, folks. I'm going to just cut the tops off here, just bring it down a little bit because I don't want it to stretch up higher than what it has already in that area there. And again, with the citrus trees, just like your fruit trees, open up the center if you can, get that open vase shape happening. This branch here is growing into the middle. We don't need that. We're going to cut it back down to here like that. Open it up. We've got a couple of little ones. Just thin it out like this is all you need to do. And if it's really severe, cut it back harder if you have to. Again, with citrus trees, the harder you cut them back, the longer they take to recover and produce flowers for you. They normally take about 1.5 to 2 years before they start producing properly. And the biggest problem you have with the pruning of a hard prune on a citrus tree is that you'll get this upright growth. And when that happens, you'll get very little, if any, flowers at all, because the upright branches, just like your fruit trees, produce very little fruit, if any. And I'm looking at this one now. This branch here is no good to me, so I'm just going to take this one off completely down there. I am going to keep them low. I don't want these trees to grow tall at all, actually. I want them to actually stay about 5 foot maximum. And yes, I'm taking it back so that it can grow more uniformly over here. Have a look at this one down there. Not a happy tree. And these are the ones that actually copped a beating. See this branch here? I'm not going to take this whole branch off. I'm actually going to keep it there, and I want it to start again from down here. So I'm going to remove it about there, and this one completely taken out because it's useless. And we'll just cut this one back a little bit just to stimulate new growth from down below. Don't worry too much if your trees are looking a little bit thin, and I know some of you have lost a lot of leaves on your trees. You've seen your trees shed a lot of leaves. We've had some really nasty weather here in Victoria, but for those in the warmer regions of Australia, citrus gall wasp is going to become active, so start getting yourself ready for those. You need to spray it with CGWS. That's our citrus gall white spray, or citrus gall wasp spray that we have. It actually leaves a white film on the plant and stops the insect from penetrating and causing those galls from developing. But to start, before the weather comes on, get your superfood in with your black grit. If you've got black grit already, you can get the superfood on its own in a bag and then put a layer of compost over the top to top dress it. No mulch at the moment still. It's still a little bit early for the mulching. You can mulch in springtime as the weather does warm up to hydrate the plant. And there we have it, folks. A nice top dressing to feed the soil, which in turn will feed your plant. Get your superfood into the ground with your black grit and your compost on top. Give your trees a good prune back and shape them and get them ready for a good flowering season ahead. And if you need any of these wonderful products, it's available on our website, vasilisgarden.com. Our Get Ready for Spring sale is on, up to 70% off everything online, folks. vasilisgarden.com. From me, Vasili Maresi.